Hi everyone. Am I audible and visible clearly? Good afternoon. Jay, Kshitij, am I audible, visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I was just waiting for more people to join since today is the first class, but I think, okay, let's start now. If more people will join late, then they can continue from there. I will be sharing my screen. Please let me know once it's visible. I hope you all can see my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is the first class of the fresh batch CM1, I'm assuming, right? So we will start with the first chapter, which is the time value of money. Any general questions before we start? And I will request all of you to please join at least 1 or 2 minutes before the start time of the class, okay? Just 1, 2 minutes before we start. So we will start with the first chapter, time value of money. Any general doubts or questions before I start with the first chapter? Anybody? Okay,
No, ma'am.
assuming that to be a no. Okay. So, first chapter, time value of money. As the name suggests, anyone who can tell me what time value of money is?
Calculating rate of interest, like as you,
Okay,
future.
calculating rate of interest. Okay, so two questions. If I take a loan from you, why will I pay you interest? I am
Uh,
suppose borrowing rupees 100 from you today, and I'm agreeing to pay you 100 rupees back later after say 1 month. So why will I pay some interest along with that 100 rupees? Why cannot I simply return that 100 rupees back to you after 1 month?
as value of money decreases due to
Right?
inflation, so
Right.
a specific time of interest is charged to recover that losses.
Correct. So suppose 10 rupees value today as compared to value of 10 rupees 5 years ago will be different. And in
Yes,
terms of inflation, if we want to understand, so if I can buy one chocolate from 10 rupees today, maybe I could have bought two chocolates from 10 rupees 5 years ago. So that is why that due to time, the value of money has decreased. So this chapter is all about that, time value of money. Now there are various reasons of why do I need to pay you interest on the money I have borrowed from you. First reason can be the opportunity cost. Anyone who knows what opportunity cost is?
like we can use this money to do something else. It is like
Correct.
opportunity.
Correct. So first thing that we learn today is value of money will decrease over time, right? Value of money decreases over time. Now I asked you all a question as to why do we pay interest, right? So answer to this first point we have discussed is opportunity cost. So as we always say that our wants are unlimited, but the resources we have to fulfill our wants is limited. So suppose you have a limited amount of money, say 1000 rupees, but there are various ways in which you can spend that 1000 rupees. So maybe if you want to buy a new shirt or you want to uh, go to a nice place and have dinner, or you want to buy some new accessories for yourself. So there are various options where you can spend that money. I gave you three options. So any option you choose, you are letting go of the other two options. So that is the opportunity cost, which is the cost of the next best alternative to which you could put your money to use. So if I am borrowing 100 rupees from you, so you are giving me 100 rupees. So this there is an opportunity cost involved because you could have used that 100 rupees somewhere else, maybe loaned it to somebody else who might have given you a higher rate of interest. So if I have agreed to pay you 110 after a month, you might find somebody who was ready to pay you 115 after a month. So you will prefer to give to them rather than me. So opportunity cost is one reason. Any other reason why we will pay interest if we are taking a loan? Another reason can be this. Yes, to compensate for the loss of value over time, to compensate for the loss of value of money over time. This is the time value of money concept. What will be any other reason for this? Is there a chance that I don't repay you 100 rupees after a month?
Also the risk.
Yes. What kind of risk is this?
The loan giver is taking a risk by giving his money.
Yes. So there is a risk factor involved. There will be various type of risks. The risk that I am talking about here, where I am defaulting on my payment, is credit risk or default risk. Yes. Then the last is the cost factor from an economic point of view. When anybody is providing you with any kind of loan or any kind of service, there is a cost involved in it. So if a bank is trying to give you a loan and you are borrowing from them, they are incurring some cost in lending you that money. Understood? So there is a cost factor involved. So all of these 4 points are clear. Why do we pay interest? Opportunity cost, risk factor, cost factor, and due to the time value of money concept. All of it is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts in any of the points, Kshitij, Shruti?
Can you please explain the last point again?
This cost factor. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So from an economic point of view, if a bank is providing you with a loan service, they are incurring some cost in providing you that service. That cost can be
Uh, Facilities that they are providing, like services.
yes. So they are a business entity, a firm, and they are operating on a global wider level to provide you the service. So there will be some costs that they are incurring, which is if they have an office. So the rent of that office, the employees that they have hired, so that the administration of that loan can be possible in an efficient manner. So all of these costs that are associated with providing you that loan service will also be incorporated into the interest rate they are charging you.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is the cost factor from an economic point of view.
Okay, ma'am.
Understood the last point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now moving to the basic, simple, and compound interest that we have read. I think simple interest you all may know already. What is simple interest? And what is compound interest? There are two
Compound
other
interest
names for
is
these. Yes.
interest on compound interest in interest on interest. Like if we are borrowing 100 rupees and the rate of amount of interest charge is 10%, so 10 uh, interest will be charged on interest, like 10% interest will be charged on again.
So suppose if you have invested 100 rupees somewhere, okay? So you have invested 100 rupees and there is a 10% compound interest. So you receive 10% of 100 in the first month, which makes your principal 100 to 110. Understood? Now the next month, this 10% again will be given to you on 110 and not 100. This is interest on interest. But in a simple interest, what happens is if you have been receiving 10% on 100, which is rupees 10, you will keep on receiving 10 every month. That will not increase. So simple rate of interest is also known as commercial rate of interest. This is another word for it. And what is another word for compound rate of interest? Anybody who knows? It is also known as the effective rate of interest. Okay. Now, under simple rate of interest, what is the formula to calculate interest? Simple interest is equal to, this you must have read in your maths, basic maths in school. Very easy.
PRT.
Correct? PRT by 100, where P is principal, R is the rate of interest, T is the term. Simple interest is principal into rate of interest into term divided by 100. Now, if you want to calculate the total amount, this will be your principal, loan amount, initial original principal amount that you have borrowed, plus the entire interest that you have paid on it, principal plus simple interest that you receive. So, P plus simple interest formula we have written as PRT by 100. Now, what can you take out common from this equation?
P.
P is common. What will be left inside is 1 plus RT by 100. So, this is the formula for a amount calculation, where this 1 plus RT by 100 is the rate of interest multiplied by the term. So, you have to increase your principal with this particular factor to arrive at the amount. So, if you have invested rupees 100 at a rate of interest of 4% for 5 years, so you will be able to calculate the final amount, which will be 100 into 1 plus 5 into 0.04 by 100. Understood? So this principal, which is the amount, uh, did somebody say something? Ajita, are you trying to ask any doubt? Otherwise, please be on mute. Okay, thank you. So, understood this formula? Here, P is what? This is the principal, which is basically the amount of money that you have deposited in your bank account today. So you can consider this as the present value. Present value, as the name suggests, value at present. So this will be the amount of money, which is the principal you have deposited in your bank account today. Okay. R is the rate of interest. You are just dividing it by 100 so that it comes in decimals. Time is the number of years for which you will keep your money invested. Okay. And the entire thing is compounded. The initial amount is now accumulating. So this will be equal to your future value or accumulated value. This was the initial amount you invested, and it has grown by this factor to give you the final value, which is your accumulated value, AV, or your future value, FV. So can we say that the present value, PV, is equal to accumulated value or future value is equal to present value multiplied by 1 plus NI? Can we say this? Where N is the rate, N is the term, I is the rate of interest. As in here, when I am doing R by 100, I am getting I, which I have written here. So R by 100 has become I. This T has become N, which is the number of years. So 1 plus NI, and this is the present value, principal, will give you the accumulated value. Is this entire equation clear? The one in bold and italics. Any doubts in understanding this equation? Anybody? Yes, no, a thumbs up will work. If there are any doubts, please unmute and ask.
No doubt, ma'am.
Okay, others. Only 4 students, so I'll expect all of you to answer. If you don't want to unmute and speak, just a thumbs up will also work. Because
No
there's
doubt.
no point. Okay. What about Ajita and Jay? Jay has not answered even once, so I'm not sure if he's in the class.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Okay, so now moving ahead to the next part, which is the compound interest formula. This is also known as the effective rate of interest. As discussed, compound interest means interest on interest. So suppose you have deposited 100 today. After 1 month, you are receiving 10% of 100. which is 10. So your amount has become 100 plus 10 is equal to 110. Now the next time you receive a 10% interest, you will not receive it on initial amount of 100, but on 110. So what does this mean? That you are receiving 10% interest on the interest amount already received. This is known as interest on interest. So this will become 11. 110 ka 10% is 11. So now your final amount becomes 110 plus 11, which is 121. Now the next time you get a 10% interest, you will get it on this. So understood the progression? So
Yes,
here
ma'am.
when we want to, okay. So here when we calculate this amount, how will we do this? AMT, amount. So this is P, which is the principal, and this is 1 plus I raised to the power n. So when you compare this from the previous formula, which is this, I am just going to delete this because somebody might think this is a division. So here AV is PV into 1 plus NI. Here what has changed? Amount is AV again. P is PV again. Instead of n being multiplied with the rate of interest, n comes into power. This is the only difference when you are talking about a compound interest. In a simple interest, what happens? That if in the same example I have deposited 100 and I am getting a 10% rate of interest, so I will give 10 rupees interest, correct? So I had deposited 100, I got 10 interest in the first month. What will happen in the next month? I have rupees 110, but how much interest am I going to get?
Again 10% on 100.
10 only. So this will be same every month. So this is where simple interest comes in, and this is where compound interest comes in. So understood that the formula for this will be 1 plus I raised to the power n and not multiplied by here, which is in the case of simple interest. So this is the compounding of money. You all must have heard about the power of compounding when we are investing. Yes. So what we are doing here, we are calculating the future value. Basically, there is a sum of money 100 we have today. We are taking it into the future and determining what will its value be after maybe 2 months, 3 months, or after 10 years, let's say, using a formula. Is this understandable? So there are two
Yes,
formulas.
ma'am.
One is this and one is this. I'm deleting this. So these two formulas. Okay. Now, there are two concepts, accumulation and discounting. So we heard about AV and PV, right? So suppose if you have given the present value and you want to reach to the accumulated value, what will you do? You will discount or you will accumulate?
Accumulate.
And if you have been given the accumulated value and you want to calculate the present value, what you will do?
Discounting.
So if there is a sum of money in the future that you want to bring to the present, you discount it. And if there is a sum of money in the present that you want to take to the future, you accumulate it. Okay. We have
Yes.
done rate of interest, compound and simple. Similarly, there will be rate of discounting also. So what is simple discount now? Simple discount. Again, this can be also known as the commercial rate of discount. So suppose in question they don't mention this word simple discount and write commercial rate of discount. You'll be able to understand what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So what is a commercial rate of discount or simple discount? In terms of these formulas, if I want to write, so as we discussed that if you are using a discount, which means that you are discounting your accumulated value to get to the present value. So accumulated value, you are discounting to get to the present value. Now, what will be the formula to discount this using a simple discount rate? Where D is the discount rate. 1 minus ND. Here we have a plus because we are accumulating. When we are discounting, we will do a 1 minus N, and instead of I, we will use a D because this is the rate of discount. So discounting accumulated value to get to the present value using a simple discount rate. Understanding? What is
Ma'am,
the
D is the
compound?
discounting.
Yes, D is the
D
discount rate.
discount rate means rate of
Similar to
interest that has
I,
to be
yes.
charged.
I
Okay.
being the rate of interest, D being the rate of discount. Okay. Now suppose,
N number of periods, like
yes,
N
N will be number
represent
of years.
years.
Yes. Now, it can be in years or in months, depends on the question. But the catch here is if D, the discount rate is in years, which means if it is in per annum terms, then N should be consistent with it, which means that N should also be in years. So suppose if D is 10% per annum and they have given N to be 6 months, can you do 6 into 10%?
No, we'll convert 6 months into years.
Correct. So the consistency should always be taken into account that both of this will be in the same term, either all in months or all in years. That is very important. Okay. So D will be the discount rate and N will similar to this will be the term. It can be in years or in months. Okay. Now suppose if they give you the discount rate and they tell you to calculate the accumulated value using the discount rate. Can you do this? So let's say if they have given the present value is 100, discount rate is 10%, and they tell you to calculate the AV. How will you do? Anyone who thinks that we cannot calculate AV if we don't know the interest rate because we need to use this formula?
No, we can use this formula only, like simple discount
Yes.
one.
How will we do
Like,
this?
like we will divide the present value by 1 plus 10%
1
into
plus 10%.
1 minus 10% into number of years.
Correct. So you can take this entire thing to the right hand side. So what will it become? AV will be equal to present value divided by 1 minus ND. Yes.
Yes.
Similarly, if they have given you a rate of interest, you can also calculate the present value
Yeah, we will take it with
without
the
knowing the rate of discount. You can take this entire thing to the
left side.
right hand side as a division. So you can calculate AV and PV given I or D anything. Understood?
Yes.
Okay. So now we have done simple discount. Coming to the compound discount. This can be also known as, yes, another name for compound discount. Another name for compound interest was,
Effective ROI.
so effective,
ROI.
this will be ROD, rate of discount. Now, if you want to calculate accumulated values, present value using a rate of discount, what will be the formula? Similar to this, something will change. PV into what? 1 plus I to the power n
No.
we do when we are using I.
1 minus I 1 minus I raised to the power n.
Raised to the power n is correct, 1 minus is correct, but instead of I, we will use D.
D discounting factor D.
Yes? So this will become the formula. This equation is clear. Now there are different types of bonds that we are going to study. So have you heard about ZCB, which is a zero coupon bond? Anybody knows what this is? And then we
Yeah.
have a coupon paying bond. What is a ZCB?
Zero coupon bond is basically when the uh when the lender gives to the borrower. So for for the lender, it is a negative cash flow, but in the future, it will be positive for him and opposite for the borrower. That case.
So what will happen in case of coupon paying bond then?
Uh, Coupon paying bonds. mm,
There also it will be a negative cash flow once you are purchasing, and then when you are receiving it will be a positive cash flow, right?
yeah.
So what is the difference between the two?
Mm,
So see, a bond is a security that people invest in, and
yeah.
this bond will be a certificate that will contain all the details of the loan.
Yeah.
Okay. So now these are the different types of bonds. Okay. As the name suggests, what are the cash flows in a bond? If I am purchasing a bond that you have issued, so I will pay you money. This will be my first negative cash flow. After that, there will be no negative cash flow. I will
Yeah.
now be receiving positive cash flows when you pay back the money to me. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, in a zero coupon bond, as the name suggests, there are no coupon payments. Coupon payments in a bond are basically the interest payments. So there is no regular interest payments, only once. They will pay you the interest, which will be the entire repayment done at once. But in a coupon paying bond, what will happen is, suppose it is for 5 years. So for each of the 5 years, they will pay you some coupon amount, which is the interest. And at the end of 5 years, when they give you the last interest payment, they will also repay the principal. So suppose principal was 100 and they used to pay you 10 every year. So in the last year, they will pay you 100 plus 10, which is 110. So this coupon paying bond means there will be regular interest payments on this bond. This zero coupon as suggests that there are zero coupons. So no regular interest payment, only once the payment will be made. Understood? The
Yeah.
difference between the two bonds? Okay.
Yeah.
Now we will see one thing. So this is 50. You are issuing this. Okay. And you are issuing for 5 years. And after 5 years, the value is 100. Okay. Where you are redeeming at par. Do you know redeeming at par? What does this mean? What does this mean? Issued at discount. So the face value of your bond, each bond was 100. Okay. You issued it at rupees 50, which means when people bought those ZCBs from you, they paid you 50 for each bond. But after 5 years, when you are redeeming them at par, which means equal to their face value, you are giving them 100. So what is the profit for you after 5 years of holding this bond?
50 rupees.
50. So what is the point here? That there were no interest payments in between those 5 years. So it was a zero coupon bond. It paid the entire 50 rupees additional at the end when it was redeemed. So this is what happens in a ZCB. Okay.
Okay.
Now
Then
let's
can
see
you
one
please
thing that happens.
explain face
Yes.
value? What is the face value of a bond?
Face value is basically the, like suppose if you are issuing 100 bonds, okay, each bond's value is 100 rupees. So that is their face value. But when you are issuing it at a discount, which means you are only taking 50 from them, and then you will pay back them the entire face value 100. So the difference, 50 will become their profit, which is basically the interest you are paying for giving you the money initially.
Okay.
Okay. Now, suppose I want to calculate the present value of this 100 rupees that I am receiving after 5 years. How will I do this? I want to calculate present value of my 100 rupees after 5 years I am receiving. So how will I do this?
We can use the formula of simple discounting.
Okay, if I'm considering simple discounting, then we will use the formula of simple discount. And if we are considering compound rate of interest and discount, then we will use this formula.
Yes, ma'am.
So PV is equals to AV into 1 minus D raised to the power n. Suppose the discount rate is 10%. So 1 minus 0.1, 10% in decimals raised to the power 5. Now, if I want to increase my term 5 years to 10 years with the same rate of interest, can you tell me both of the equations answer so that we can understand what happens to the present value when this term increases? So, this amount is same, the rate of interest is same. What is changing is the term is increasing. So, what will be the impact on present value of an increase in term? What is the final answer for both of these equations? And what do you expect? Present value of which of the two would be higher? First or second?
After 10 years,
For
second.
first one, it is 59 rupees.
59. And what about the second one?
For second one, it is 35 if we approx it. 35.
So you were expecting this to be higher? Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Why did you expect this to be higher? Any logic or reason that you thought of? Something that went into your mind before thinking that, okay, this should be higher because the term is higher. You thought that?
Yes, ma'am.
And here, term is less, so the value should be less. But logically, if you think, you are giving them 50 rupees today and you are receiving 100 rupees after 5 years in one scenario, and you are receiving 100 rupees after 10 years in one scenario. Which scenario would you prefer?
Oh,
In
five,
5 years,
5 years,
obviously.
5 years.
You would prefer to get your money back as soon as possible?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is why when the term is less, the present value for you is higher because this is your preference. Why do you not want to lend for a higher term? First, you will be short of that money for more duration. The credit or default risk or any risk associated will increase with the increase in term. If I am telling you I'll borrow 100 from you today and give it back to you tomorrow, you might give me, thinking that okay, kal to mil hi jayega. But if I tell you I'll pay you back after 1 month, you might deny that pata nahi I'll get my money or not after a month, so I'll not give. So understood how we increase the term, the present value keeps on decreasing. This is the relationship, inverse relationship between present value and term, given the interest rate is same.
Okay, ma'am.
Understood? Okay. So we have done compound discount, all the compound, simple, interest and discount, and the different types of bonds. Let's do a question now. Okay. So I will write down the question, or maybe I can dictate it and write only the main points. So there is an investor that will deposit $1,000
Huh?
in a bank account that pays simple interest of, please mute if you are not speaking, please. Simple interest of 5% per annum. Okay. Now the term is 3 years. You have to calculate the accumulated value. How will you do this? Accumulated value. Yes. This is 10,000. Formula for AV? We've done this. All of the formulas we have discussed previously. This is a simple interest, 5% for 3 years. You can
Accumulated
also
value
write
would
in
be
chat. Yes,
$30.
$30.
It is 17.
$30? 17.
17,500. It is
How have
coming
you
out.
calculated? Can you tell me the equation first?
So it is like 10,000 into
Hmm.
into 1 plus
Hmm.
1 plus 3 into 0.05.
1 plus 3 into 0.05.
Yeah.
This is correct. 1 plus 3 into 0.05. You are getting this after solving.
Yeah.
Let me solve and double check. Somebody else got a different answer. Is
1,000.
everybody getting this? Yes. Any other answers from anybody? You will get 11,500.
0. Yes.
Yeah,
How
it's
did you get?
11,500. Yeah, it's 11,000.
Okay. All of you are getting this
Yeah.
11,500?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, similarly, same thing, but the interest is just compound interest instead of simple. So, what will be your AV? Make sure you are writing the final answer with the currency. Okay.
10,000 plus yes. It is 11,576.
11,576 decimals.
Decimal is 25.
Yeah, great. This is correct. I hope all of you are getting this. The next question is this. You have to calculate the present value.
Okay. So it would be 10,000 divided by 1 minus 3 into 0.05. That doesn't value.
What is the formula that you are using?
It is 10,000 divided by
8,000
This is what?
answer.
Sorry,
Present value.
8,500. Yes, this is the correct answer. Which formula did you use for this?
PV is equals to AV, 1 minus ND.
Correct. So 10,000 into 1 minus 3 into 0.05.
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody was doing 10,000 divided by. Here 10,000 is the AV, right?
yeah.
If you are to use the division formula, then this should be a rate of interest and not the simple rate of discount. Understood?
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I hope all of you are getting this answer. $8,500. Now moving to this question. So here what is happening? That there is a loan, an 8-month loan is repayable by a single payment of $100,000. Okay. So you are repaying your loan by paying this amount after 8 months. The commercial rate of discount is 15% per annum. You have to find out the amount that you initially word lent. So what was the amount initially lent to you? That you have to find out. How will you do this?
Well, first, we will convert 8 months into years.
Okay.
We
And
will
this 100,000, is it your PV or your AV?
It's AV.
one. It's AV, accumulated factor.
Correct. And you have to find out
PV,
PV.
PV. So you have to find out PV using AV, rate of discount, and this is simple or compound?
compound.
Simple.
Compound. Compound is effective.
It's simple.
Simple rate of discount. Okay.
Ma'am, as we
Anything
know the
compound is
future value, so we want to find present value. So discounting is used in one. I think so.
sorry, discounting can be either simple or compound depending on what the question is. Doesn't matter if you have to calculate AV or PV, right?
Okay.
This can be anything. Doesn't matter if you have to calculate your AV or PV, right? Because simple and compound में difference is that interest on interest part.
Okay.
It is not relevant to whether AV or PV is given to you or not. Whenever commercial word is written, it is simple discount rate. Whenever effective word is written, it is compound discount rate. Okay.
Okay.
So how will you calculate your present value now? Yes.
It's 89,995.
Okay. 90,000 approximately.
Hmm.
Formula that you use for this?
AV 1 minus ND is equals to PV.
Correct. So PV is equal to AV into 1 minus ND. Yes. All of you getting the same answer, 89,995. Any doubts here? Anybody?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So now you have to discount $10,000 for 3 years using a compound discount rate of 5% per annum. So what do you have to find out? This is PV or AV?
Ma'am, can you please repeat the question?
Yes. You have to discount $10,000 for 3 years using a compound discount rate of 5%.
Then this is a
This is AV and you have to calculate PV.
yes.
Okay, so what is the final present value that you are getting? 10,000 into formula will be 10,000 into
1 minus D raised to
1 minus 0.05 raised to the power 3. So
yes.
what is the present value that you are getting? Ajita, can you please mute yourself? Thank you.
8573. 8,573.75.
Decimal 8573.75. Correct? All of you getting this? 8573.75. All of the 5 questions are clear. Any doubts in any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now we are coming to another concept part. We will talk about what is an accumulation factor AF or a discounting factor DF. ठीक है? So see, basically accumulation factor is what you will multiply to your present value to get your accumulated value. That will become your accumulation factor because you are accumulating your present value with a factor that will give you your accumulated value. This will tell you what? How many times has your fund grown? So suppose your present value was 100 and your accumulated value is 500. This means that your fund has grown 5 times. So AF is 5. AV by PV is your AF. Yes.
Yes.
Similarly, discounting factor will be the factor that you multiply to your accumulated value to get to your present value, which means by what factor you are discounting your AV to reach to your PV. So again, DF will now be PV by AV. Opposite of this. Yes. So this is
Yes,
your
ma'am.
first equation, which is AV into DF by PV. This is your one equation. This is your another equation, which is PV into AF by AV. Now, what will you get if you combine these two equations? Suppose you know that PV into AF is AV. Here, AV is equal to PV by DF. So, is both of these equal to each other because both of these equal to AV?
Yes.
If A is equals to B, B is equals to C, we can say that A is equals to C, right? You understand this concept?
Yeah.
So this is the
Yes,
equation
ma'am.
that we are getting when we are combining the two equations that we have derived for AF and DF, which is PV into AF is equals to PV by DF. We have
Yes, ma'am.
eliminated AV, right? Now, if you want to eliminate PV and write an equation, what can you write? PV is equals to this, AV into DF. This will be equal to what if you want to take something from here? It will be
PV
AV by
by
AF.
AV
AV
upon
by
AF.
AF.
Yes. AV cuts by right hand side as it is equal to DF is equals to 1 upon AF.
So what we have done is this AF will come to the right hand side. So PV will be equal to AV by AF, right? So again, we are equating two PV equations. We already know AV into DF is PV. Now we also know AV by AF is PV. So both of these will be equal. Now this AV will get cancelled out. Here PV will get cancelled out. So what are you getting? DF is equal to 1 by AF. And here AF is equal to 1 by DF, which means they both are reciprocal of each other. Yes.
Yes,
Understanding.
ma'am.
And we have already discussed this by way of here when we were discussing that if you have to calculate the accumulated value using a rate of discount, if you have to calculate the accumulated value using a rate of discount, what you will do? You will divide this entire thing by PV. We have already done this here.
Yes, ma'am.
Same thing, we are just learning by way of notations. So AF and DF are reciprocal of each other. Now, if I am saying that A0 to N, what does this mean? This notation means A is the accumulation factor, and this is from 0 to N. So in words, what will this mean, this notation?
0 to n period of time.
So this will be accumulation factor from time 0 to N.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So it is very important. See, in actuaries now, what you are studying is easy. It's logical, it's conceptual. These notations is what you have to understand because we represent everything in a different manner. Okay. So A0 to N is accumulation factor from time 0 to time N. Now similarly, what will be V0 to N?
Discounting factor.
Discounting factor from time 0 to N? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now let's give a summary of what we have already studied till here, just to recap everything. Okay. So under TVM, what we have learned till now. We have done simple interest, we have done compound interest, we have done simple discount, we have done compound discount. Okay. All of these things we have done. Now, we have also studied about, let's make a table that will be easier. We have done simple interest, compound interest, simple discount, compound discount. We have also learned about accumulation factors and discounting factors. So now can you tell me all of these factors for all of these interests? So what is the accumulation factor for a simple rate of interest? Is it 1 plus Ni? Yes. Accumulation factor for simple interest will be 1 plus Ni.
Yes, ma'am.
For compound interest, it will be
1
1
plus I
plus
raised to
I.
the power n.
Correct. For simple discount, what will be the accumulation factor?
1 minus ND.
1 minus ni.
ND.
See, when it is simple discount, first thing that you have to use D and not N. Okay? 1
Okay.
minus ND is correct, but is that the discounting factor and not the accumulation factor?
The discount.
So when you want to write the accumulation factor, we had discussed that it will simply be this raised to the power minus 1, which means this will be in the denominator.
Yes.
Compound discount discounting factor will be 1 minus D raised to the power N.
Yes. And
So here what we will write?
raised to minus.
1 minus D raised to the power minus N.
Minus n.
What will we write here? Yes.
1 plus Ni raised to
Raised to
minus.
the power minus 1.
1 plus Ni raised to the power minus 1, and here it will be
1 plus I raised to the power minus n.
understood. This entire table is clear.
Yes.
So what we are doing, present value multiplied by simple interest formula, which is 1 plus Ni, will give me my accumulated value. Present value into accumulation factor will give you your accumulated value.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, if you want to calculate present value from this, what will you do? Accumulated value divided by 1 plus Ni, which you can write as accumulated value multiplied by 1 plus Ni raised to the power minus 1.
Yeah.
Yes. So this becomes your
Discounting factor.
discounting factor. So you have proved what you have written. 1 plus ni raised to the power minus 1 is my discounting factor. Similarly, you can prove for every equation here. Understanding the logic behind all of this? Yes?
Yes,
Okay. Now, let's do one more question. We had done 5 questions, I think. So this is the 6th question. You have been given an investment of 1000. Okay. You have to find the accumulation factor, or basically the accumulation after 5 years. And there are different parts. So first is simple discount of 8% per annum. You can start solving. I will write all the parts. Okay. Compound discount of 8%. Then compound interest of 8%.
We have to find the accumulated value.
Yes, the question is that you have an investment of $1,000 and you have to find the accumulation after 5 years using all of these rates. So accumulated value you have to find out. Okay, let's do only 3 parts. So answer of each part will be in dollars.
The first part, is it 1400?
1400. No. How have you calculated? The equation is
1000
into.
One second. It would be minus.
Yes, because it is a simple rate of discount.
Yeah. Into 5. It's 600.
No. Let's try doing it stepwise. So 1000 will be multiplied by what will be the formula?
It would be 1000 into bracket 1 minus 0.08 into 5.
Just that. You have to calculate the accumulated value. You have been given the present value. When you are finding accumulated value from a present value, you have to accumulate. Accumulation is usually done using a rate of interest and not a rate of discount. But when you have to do this using a rate of discount, for a simple discount, accumulation factor is this.
Okay. -1.
Understood?
Mhm. Simple. Okay. Mm. It is 1666.67.
Correct. This is correct.
Hmm.
Similarly, when you have to use a compound rate of discount, the formula will be 1000 into
1000 into bracket 1 plus, no, 1 minus discount rate to the power
raised to the
number
power
of
minus
years.
है. This will
Minus n.
again be a minus. So you have to refer this table, but with time you should remember what to use when. So what you have to understand that when you are accumulating, the general thing that you use for accumulation is your rate of interest. But if I is not given and instead D is given, so you will have to use the minus raised to the power minus thing because you are essentially dividing. Yes?
Hmm.
So maybe what you
Yeah.
can do if you don't understand it in that manner, you can start with seeing that you have been given the present value. Okay? And present value you have been given, you want to calculate the accumulated value. So how will you do that? you have to use the accumulation factor for this. And now the accumulation factor for simple discount, suppose you don't know what to multiply here. You can simply do present value will be equal to AB divided by AF.
Hmm.
Yes. So this will be 1000. AV you don't know. PV is 1000 is equal to AV divided by accumulation factor is 1 minus ND. And if that comes in here, it will become into 1 minus ND raised to the power minus 1. Understood? So the answer for second part is
Term is 5 years.
yes.
So it is 1000. Okay. It is 1517.26.
Okay, 1517.26. This is correct. Are others solving? Because I'm not getting answers for anybody else. You can also write in the chat if you don't wish to unmute. If you are solved. I hope all of you are solving and getting the same answers.
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
8% is D, right?
Sorry, once again.
The 8% in the question, SD of 8%, it's D.
SD means simple discount. So D.
D, right? So we
Yes.
have this equation of PV is equals to AV into 1 minus ND. We have PV, we have N, and we have D. We'll directly get the AV.
PV is equals to AV into 1 minus ND.
Mm-hmm.
This simple discount. You are saying
Find AV, right?
PV is equals to AV into
1 minus ND.
1 minus ND. Yes, so you will have to take this to that side and divide because you have to find out AV now. You don't know this.
Yes.
So it will be same thing now. PV into 1 minus ND raised to the power minus 1 will give you AV. So we have done this only. You can either solve 1 minus 5 into 0.08 here, and then whatever you are getting, you can simply divide with 1000. But essentially, you are doing this only, right?
Okay.
Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Answer C, using a compound rate of interest of 8% per annum.
It is 1469.32.
1469.32 is correct. I hope all of you are getting this. All of the three answers. Any doubt, anybody, please ask. Yes. So see, you have to make a payment of $2,000, which is due in 4 years' time. So basically, after 4 years, you will pay 2,000 to somebody. You have to calculate the present value of this payment using a simple rate of interest of 3% per annum. You can start solving the first part A. Okay? Simple discount of 3% per annum. And then compound interest of 3% per annum. How will you do the first one? You have to calculate the present value. So usual formula when you are using accumulated value to reach to the present value is, what are you doing? Which factor will you use?
Discounting factor.
Discounting factor, we usually assume it to be D, but we have I instead of D. So what formula are we going to use if we don't have D but I given? So basically, what is the discounting factor using a simple rate of interest? Discounting factor using a simple rate of interest is this?
Yes.
So the equation will be,
It would be 2000 divided by 1 plus 4 into 0.03,
correct?
which is coming out to be 1785.71.
Correct. Very good.
Yeah.
Now using a simple rate of discount, this is easy. Discounting factor and rate of discount only is given. What will be the formula?
Formula would be
Yes, 2000 into,
1 minus ND.
correct. 2000 into 1 minus N is 4. D is 3%. This will give you your final answer, which is
1760.
correct. Now last part, you have to calculate PV using compound rate of interest. Again, you have to use the discounting factor for a compound interest, which is
1 plus I raised to minus N.
1 plus I raised to the power minus N, correct? So 2000 into 1 plus I raised to the power minus 4.
It is 2251.02.
This is 2200. Have you done the minus 4 thing?
Yeah, minus 4 I have done.
Logically, if you are taking out a present value of a 2000 payment, it should always be less than 2000.
Yeah, actually.
So if you are getting 2200, it's definitely wrong. This is how you can check reasonableness check on your answer. So when you are calculating the accumulated value, it will always be greater than the present value. And your present value will always be less than the accumulated value. So it should be something less than 2000. Try to solve this again because this equation is correct.
Why have we multiplied here?
This.
Yeah.
So 2000 is your present value. You will multiply it with the accumulation factor to get to the, multiply it with the discounting factor to get to the present value. So this is a discounting factor.
2000 is the accumulated value.
Yes.
Okay.
Accumulated value into discounting factor will give you the present value. If you don't want to multiply, you can divide, but here minus 4 will become plus 4 then.
Yeah. वही किया एक सेकंड मैंने माइनस क्यों कर दिया था डिवाइडेड बाय 1 प्लस
1776.974
raised to the power 4
Sorry, 1776.97.
Yeah, no, it's
Correct.
correct.
Right? All of you are getting this?
Yeah.
Only
Yes,
once,
ma'am.
97.
Oh, sorry. Yes. All answers matching for everyone. Everything clear till here, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll just give you one more concept thing and then just an overview and we'll end the class. Okay. So as we saw here, this V0 to N is the discounting factor from time 0 to N. Now, if we consider from time 0 to 1, we can write this as V0, 1. Yes. And this in
Yes.
general terms is also known as V. So what is V? And this is small v. Okay. Small v is the notation that you use for a 1 year discounting factor. Understood? And discount factor is D, discounting rate is D. So this is a formula that you use. 1 year discounting factor V is equal to 1 minus D. This is a formula that you have to use. V is the 1 year discounting factor. V is equal to 1 minus D. And then D can further be written as 1 minus 1 by 1 plus I. 1 by 1 plus I is D. How? D is equals to 1 by 1 plus I. How is this true? We have been doing this. When we have to discount using a rate of interest, we just raise it to a negative power.
Yes.
We have done this here. So it is the same thing. D is 1 plus I raised to the power minus 1, which can be written as 1 by 1 plus I if you bring this down to the denominator. So 1 minus D can be written as 1 minus 1 by 1 plus I. Now if you take an LCM here, what you will get? Will you get I by 1 plus I? Do you know how to take an LCM?
Yes, ma'am.
So you will get I by 1 plus I. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So 1 minus D will be, wait a second. D is the discount rate for 1 year, which is 1 by 1 plus I. D is actually I by 1 plus I, and this is equal to, sorry. D is equals to I by 1 plus I. V is equal to 1 minus D, which is equal to 1 by 1 plus I. This is the equation where D is equal to, D is actually this. Let's just skip this altogether. I think this will confuse you. For today, we will do this in the next class with an example. Okay. I'll just give you a brief overview of the syllabus first. So the portion that we have started today is CT1. Okay. It is divided into two parts, CT1 and CT5. And you will have two papers. Do you know this? Paper A and paper
Yeah.
B. This
Yes,
is
paper B will be
that we are doing.
practical.
Paper B will be practical, which will be on Excel.
Yeah.
Yes. So that will have a separate set of classes. And this will be also of 100 marks. And paper A will also be for 100 marks. This
Yes.
will be your theory
Mm.
that we have
IF,
started today.
IFO, right? For IFO.
I4. I4.
Okay.
II also has two papers anyway, but for CM1, IEI will all be MCQ. There will be no written or solving questions. It will be all MCQ. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
So,
So this
but
CT1 paper consists of how many chapters, right?
CT1 is actually, I think, starting 6 chapters you have, which are the basic cash flows. And then you have your project appraisal loan schedule and term structure of interest rates, which is 7, 8, 9. I think 10, 12 chapters is CT1. And then you start your CT5, which is your contingencies part.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So paper A, you will get 3 hours, 15 minutes. And say for paper B, you will get how many time? 1 hour, 45 minutes.
45.
Right? So this is the time division. This is the paper division and marks. And what is the percentage?
70-30.
70-30. So 70% of this will be taken onto your final script answer. And 30% of the marks that you have scored in this will be taken as your final answer. Final marks. Okay. So this is the division. This is the CT1, CT5 division. Basically, earlier there were two exams separately for CT1 and one separate for CT5. Both of these are combined and made into one exam, which is CM1. Okay. Now, CT1 is everything about finance that we have just started. Okay. And CT5 is everything about insurance. And in insurance, everything is uncertain. Uncertain cash flows. So basically, what will happen in such a scenario here in CT1, we are discussing that I have taken a loan and I will pay back to you in 5 years. When you come to CT5, everything will have a contingency, which means a probability associated with it. That I will be able to pay you back in 5 years the loan, in which case I will be able to pay you back only when I'm alive, otherwise not. So to be able to pay you after 5 years, I have to stay alive for 5 years. So that survival probability will come into place. And this probability, every cash flow will be associated with. So that is CT5, where you talk about insurance and every cash flow is uncertain. So you have to multiply probabilities with every cash flow amount. So if you talk about an insurance, you will pay premiums in the next year only when you are alive in the next year. Everything will be associated with a probability. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So was the first class good? Any doubts, any complaints? Should I lower my pace or increase my pace? Anything that you did not like or like? Was it okay overall? Are there any doubts or any questions, suggestions, anything?
No, it was fine. It was okay.
Okay, Kshitij was saying something.
Nothing, ma'am. It was good.
Okay. Thank you for joining then. We will meet in the next class. We will continue this chapter and the basic cash flows. Yes?
I just wanted to ask what will be the schedule of the classes?
That will be uploaded on the forum. Since this is the first class today, so we will see how other batches are running and the schedule will be uploaded on the forum. I hope you have the forum or dashboard access where you can see the entire timetable, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Ma'am,
in
is
that
there will be
timetable,
offline
yes,
classes also?
offline classes must be there. I think you guys are from Kolkata, Delhi.
No.
Delhi. So yes, Delhi batches, Kolkata batches will be separate, and that will also be informed. And in the timetable, only if you see once it's uploaded. So if there is any offline class, so they will write there in the bracket D or K, offline or online. So with me, there will be no offline class, of course. With me, it will be online only, but there must be another faculty or maybe sir or ma'am will take offline classes. Okay. For
Will
that,
the
it will be
classes
written
be
offline.
on weekdays also?
Sorry, Stuti.
Will the classes be on weekdays? Like, do you know?
That will actually depend on the students' timetables. Like generally, CM1 students will have colleges, right? So, and there will be some people who will have a morning batch, some will have an evening batch. So it is very difficult to fit into a time where everyone is suitable to join. So generally, that is why we either keep it on weekends, because even if I'm keeping a morning 8 a.m. class, the Xavier's morning batch will not attend, especially boys, because they have, I think, 6 to 10 classes. And then at night, evening batch girls won't attend because they have evening batch classes. So that is why we'll just keep, basically when we keep timing, some students will reach out to us and say ki we can't attend, so please change timing. So according to feedback from everyone, the classes timings will be adjusted.
Okay, got
Okay?
it. Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
Also, do you suggest to start watching the recorded videos?
You are planning for which attempt?
September.
September. I think then let's first attend live only. Okay. So let's see when the next class is. If there is not much gap, then please attend live only, because I think that will be better.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
If after a point of time you see that you have to pick up another subject, maybe with CM you want to pick up CB paper, and you
Yeah.
want to increase your pace for CM, then of course you can go and watch the recorded ones to finish off your syllabus as soon as possible. But for as of now, initially you can watch only the live classes. Maybe till the next class you can revise what we have done today. Okay. I think all of you have made running notes with me.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So you can refer to that and the chapter time value of money from the core reading material. You can start reading. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So benefit of that will be, suppose if you are reading and something you are not understanding, then in the next live class you can ask from me also. So your doubts will also be cleared then and there. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Okay then. Have a happy weekend. Thank you for joining. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.